Assalamu alaikum. My name is Dr. Hashim Mumtaz, and I live in Oshkosh, Wisconsin. Um, we are making this video on behalf of the Sehat-e-Jismani Department of MKA USA in regards to, yes, you guessed it right, for the coronavirus outbreak. Now, I'm just gonna share some basics. I'm sure you guys already received tons of guidance. The best thing is it is directly coming from Hazur as well, and we really value that. So Hazur Anwar Ajadullah bin Nasir Aziz in his last two sermons has given pretty detailed instructions on what we should be doing and we shouldn't be doing. So this is going to be a little bit focused on the Khudam side and also from Sehat Jismani standpoint. So let me begin by mentioning a little bit about this infection, um, of what it is. So coronavirus is a family of different viruses that causes various infections in human beings. Most of these are very minor colds, but at the same time, we have the precedents in the past of seeing novel virus infections that almost rose to a pandemic status. Um, Recent enough was the MERS, or the Middle Eastern Respiratory Syndrome, which was caused also by a family of the beta coronavirus. And then in the past, more than a decade ago, there was the SARS. Um, Either way, this novel coronavirus infection started out from China. It is believed that a reservoir of this virus mutating in perhaps some wild animals led to transmission initially amongst human beings and eventually got out of hand. Why is this virus wreaking so much havoc? Perhaps because of a few reasons that the scientists understand, may include that we don't have as much immunity against coronaviruses as much we would have against influenza, for example. Um, Kids tend to be spared for reasons that we don't understand, perhaps because they do get more corona infections, which are milder in nature, so maybe they have more immunity. Um, so, um, this is some of the basics, and what can it do in terms of your physical health? It can cause an infection that can basically be mild, moderate, or severe. So, what is really mild? That doesn't mean few sniffles or a little bit low grade fever, but this could perhaps be a fever of 101 or more, headaches, sore throat, cough, and you could feel pretty sick with this. But as long as this is not causing you any breathing trouble, you could pretty much afford to stay home and be treated with over-the-counter medications, and it'll be a matter of week or so before you will be better. If you're one of those unlucky 20% of the patients that get moderate disease, you could be really sick and you could be short of breath. You could have a lot of cough and phlegm and high-grade fever, and many of people would need admission to the hospital. About 1% are projected to be in that critically ill zone that can actually lose their life, God forbid. Either way, as Ahmadi Muslims, we should have faith in Allah and never panic. At the same time, be cautious and take our precautions. So, what do we really need to do? I'm sure you guys have had a lot of health tips. So, hygiene is absolutely important. Hand hygiene, washing, using sanitizers, washing with soap and water is always the best treatment wherever available. Staying away from people that are sick or could be sick. These days, that could be anybody in the grocery stores, schools, universities, at your job, anywhere where you could be mingling with the masses that you may not be familiar with, or going for your routine appointments and things like that. Um, and of course, Jamaat has cancelled all mass gatherings other than the Jummah prayers and the local congregations at the mosque, which are compulsory on men. So, Khudam, other than that, should avoid any kind of congregations that are unnecessary, and sort of weigh that on scale of risk and benefit. Um, as far as other protections include, you could put on a mask if you have one. I mean, now I know they're in shortage, but luckily because of my field, I have access to masks at my work. And because I'm using it outside as well. So I'll show what kind of a mask would be effective against this ideally, although any kind of mask is better than none. So this is an N95 mask, and it has these elastic straps that kind of go tightly snug against your mouth and face. So I'll just show you how that goes. Basically, you kind of stretch this over your nose and mouth, and just tighten it around your nose, the bridge of your nose, and make sure there's a complete seal. It may not be very effective with a beard, but something is better than nothing. So that's just a simple mask. Another thing I wanted to share while mentioning hand hygiene and washing the hands was washing the hands for at least 20 seconds. I know it's hard to do, but you know, this is the way to deal with this. Avoid touching your mouth and nose unnecessarily, especially when you're out and about, and you've touched surfaces that could potentially be infected. This virus can survive on surfaces for 3 days. Yes, that's right. When you go home, clean your cell phones with anything like Clorox wipes or anything that kills the virus and other pathogens potentially. Your car keys. Better to keep the outside clothes outside, and don't bring them in, and don't sit around in your house where potentially other people could be exposed to your things. And it's better to maybe put them separately and get them washed and change your clothes on a daily basis. Things like that. So very important, avoid contact with elderly people. Those could be your parents if you're my age, or could be your grandparents if you're Rahman Bhai's age. Because this could be more serious and potentially even fatal for them. So we don't want to give it to anybody who is older than 65 or 60 for that matter. Most important, follow all of Hazur's instructions because those are golden. We have Khilafat with us, and that's the best guidance. So avoid handshakes. Those are not to be enforced, although I know it's hard because that's our habit. When we see our brothers, we want to shake hands. Perhaps we can avoid it in this pandemic. It would be the best thing. As far as Sehat-e-Jismani is concerned, we shouldn't do any kind of contact sports. We saw what happened with NBA players, and you could be passing it on, or others could be passing it on to you before you know that somebody's positive. So this could be serious business, but you can do your individual workouts, maintain your health. Maintaining good baseline health is important for every khadim, especially in a situation like this, because this could make the difference between a mild infection to a more serious infection. So running out, if there's good weather in your area, go ahead, run, and or do treadmill if it's cold weather or something still. As far as Khuddam are concerned, it's important, and that we do not forget that Allah Ta'ala is only our biggest protection. So pray for yourself, pray for your families, pray for the whole Jamaat, and pray for everybody in the world, because this could be very serious business. So we don't want to think of this as, this is a punishment of God upon certain people, because we don't know that. Even Hazur has refrained from using this kind of language, and we know that this is part of the tribulations that Prophet ﷺ was time was going to bring, but we should be saying a lot of istighfar and doing prayers. Jazakallah.